the Lions signed guard Kevin Zeitler, who was a Pro Bowler last year.
Dog. His first Pro Bowl in his career, too. Which is crazy.
Which is a whole nother thing. Like, he's been in the league for quite some time. He's, 34 years old? He's played, if you're talking about total seasons, he's played for a while in the league. He's a veteran. He's still playing at a high level. Even you go back last year, and I'll read some things for you real quick before you guys can kind of cook here. He was number 2 on PFF in terms of PFF pass blocking, top 15 overall offensive lineman. He allowed 19 pressures in 574 pass blocking snaps, a pressure rate of 3.3%, which is 7th among 78 total guards. And like I said, 13th season after being the 27th pick in 2012. And real quick, Detroit Supremacy, we appreciate you.
Shout out, man.
Best O-line in league history. I'm going to give a shout out to a couple people who kind of were here at the beginning, and then I'm going to let Boone and Lucas share their thoughts on the signing itself. Shout out Eric Gray was the first one in the chat, Mr. Detroit City. We got Shift God, Zach Martin. No, not the Zach Martin, but another very good Zach Martin. I'll tell you.
He knows we're talking about offensive linemen. It's happening here. He knows what's going on around the NFL.
We got ETN, Juices, Ghost, Anakin Skyogre. We appreciate you guys, man, for kind of coming in here on a Monday night with breaking news. But, boys, what do we think about it, right? 1-year deal. To me, this is kind of a stopgap between you getting your future guard. But, man, what a hell of a stopgap. One of the best guards in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, there was and we had this conversation last week right before we came on. I told you guys, I was like, listen, this is something that at least I brought up last week as well, to where there's 2 scenarios you either go the draft in the first or second round, you have to get someone who could start right away, or you have to get one of those top 2 guys, and they got one of the top 2 guys. And I'm just like, to be honest, fellas, I was just hoping they got a guy like this, because your heart and soul of the Detroit Lions offense was the offensive line. In the wave, at least for me, to keep this top 5 offense kind of consistent the next couple of years, or at least heading into this year, was you have to keep this thing the best in the NFL. And they went out and got a Pro Bowler. At that, fellas, like, I just went and looked at some stats, and I got in my bag a lot. I know we're not a PFF show here, but when it fits our narrative, we better dive into PFF a little. First of all, he has started in 181 games out of 182 games, fellas. Oh, no.
You're good.
Did you guys hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, you're good.
Jeez, dude, it went out. That caught me off guard. And then some PFF things here. I just want to go over the Detroit Lions offensive line real quick. If anyone kind of questioned, this line's going to take a step back, real quick, on the guard position, the Detroit Lions have the number 8th rated PFF guard with Graham Glasgow, and the number 15th rated guard with Kevin Zeitler. Or Zeitler, however you pronounce his name. And they both played over 1,100 snaps, and their grades dominated Jonah Jackson's grades. And I know I don't want to take a shot at Jonah Jackson or anything, but to me, it's almost like being healthy. Like that was the number one thing with Jonah Jackson. You just got a guy that's going to consistently be healthy, and he has been, it feels like, for almost his whole career. And he was better at pass blocking last year, run blocking. Like, he was better at everything when it comes to PFF. Like, every single grade here you're looking at, like, Jonah Jackson was the 34th ranked guard per PFF last season. 34th. And you just went and got the 15th rated guard per PFF with Kevin Zeitler or Zeitler. So, like, what you just made it, in my opinion, you could say it's almost an upgrade just based on these stats, and you just stayed consistent where you were at. You already had Graham last year. Now you got Kevin, and then you still have Panay Taylor. Like, the Lions offensive line, you have the number 1 center, the number 1 tackle, the number 9 tackle, the number 8 guard, and the number 15 guard in the NFL. That right there, fellas, is absolutely elite. And shout out to Brad Holmes for going out there and just doing what Brad, like, for all the people last week that were going at Brad Holmes, just next time, shut your mouth until the thing's finished off. And there's still another month to go until then. I've had this conversation way too many times with people going all the way back to the trade deadline saying, take a step back. And you guys, like Jeff, me and you have had this conversation at the trade deadline. You came out and you were like, nope, yep, I need to, that was something I needed. People right now who are listening to me, take a step back, let Brad Holmes marinate in what Brad Holmes is doing. Just like a nice piece of chicken. Just sit there and marinate in it. And then wait until it's finished. All right. Klotz.
Yeah, I mean, I think especially towards the end, you hit it right on the head. The Lions did just upgrade their offensive line. And I know that might have been shocking to hear, especially after looking last week. But if you look at what Kevin Zeitler does compared to Jonah Jackson. Jonah Jackson is more athletic, but on a consistency basis and a guy that's going to be able to give it to you in the run game and in the pass game, Kevin Zeitler is exactly that. We saw Jonah kind of decline last year, especially in pass blocking. So when you look at that, you add in the injury, you add in the price tag, Kevin Zeitler just upgraded this Lions offensive line, and it's somebody that you don't have to worry about, is he going to be able to fit into a new system? Because he was drafted to Cincinnati, got traded to the Giants, then got traded to the Browns, and then I don't know if he got traded or he signed with the Ravens, but this man has been on multiple teams around the NFL in multiple systems and been extremely consistent and a top-tier guard basically after his third season in the NFL. And I don't think he's a player that's going to have a huge drop off just because he's 35 or 35 or 34 or 35 years old in Detroit. I think this is a guy that's going to be able to produce in a major way to upgrade this offensive line.
Yeah, I think this is a home run signing, guys, for a couple of reasons. One, you lose Jonah Jackson for the number we talked about, which was a number we were all not willing to pay, which was 17 per year, which is just an absurd amount. And when we bring up Jonah, it's not even to diss Jonah because he was very good. He was good. He was a Pro Bowler with Detroit. This past season, though, he was not. Specifically in pass blocking, he was not good. He was actually better against run blocking. Kevin Zeitler is an elite pass blocking guard. So he does better even at 34 than what Jonah did last year. Doesn't mean Jonah can't improve. And obviously the money has to still come out, but you look at some of the moves the Lions have made, and this all happened recently. They gave Jared Goff a $5 million roster bonus. They paid Decker a $500,000 roster bonus. $5 million and a quarter of running back David Montgomery's 2024 salary was guaranteed, and all $10.5 million of Cam Sutton's 2024 salary was guaranteed. So this was all happening behind the scenes. Little did we know it was going to help them make some moves here, re-signing Donovan Peoples-Jones, which we'll get to later in the show, and signing guard Kevin Zeitler. So, guys, I think this, and I agree with you, Booner, to your point about one of the most important things this offseason was keeping this offensive line elite. And they do that by getting a guy who's 34 years old. He can fill that right guard position. Doesn't mean they're not going to draft one, but it also means you don't have to throw a rookie into as a starter year one when you have high expectations. You get to have the rookie sit back, learn, and boom, he gets to go off in the next year or two after Zeitler's deal ends. So I love it. It's a great deal. I'm going to pull up this clip right here.
And I don't think too, Jeff, like that doesn't, and a lot of people are probably going to say this, like it doesn't even change the fact that the Lions can go out and draft a guard or draft an offensive lineman. Like I think that makes it even that much like better to where within the, like maybe not the first round now, but that second, third round, like some of these guys we've been breaking down, the Cooper Beebes, like those are the guys, McCormick from South Dakota, like those are guys now that like you really can draft and bring in. And now they're just like, all right, maybe they do get a year. And if there is some sort of injury, which we've seen throughout the season, like there's going to be guys who have to rotate, and you need kind of some depth in the offensive line, especially on this one. It's like that's exactly what this is for as well, to where you can go draft more depth at that. Because like some of these guys, like I know Graham signed a 3-year. Kevin it's only a 1-year deal as well. So like there's going to be like, you're going to have a guy that steps in. Like our mock drafts, at least in mine, in the first 3 rounds, I'm still going to have an offensive lineman. So I don't think that changes anything at all. But I just think like this is better than having a rookie who you're not like 100% sure what he is right away to be able to step in, because like having a top 5 offensive line, or if not the best in the NFL, and the best running back duel in the NFL, that's like your bread and butter, and protecting Jared Goff, who needs protection to be great. So like that was the number one priority. I'm very happy that Brad went out there and took care of that. That was like, to me, one of the biggest. I think I've been saying it for about a week or so now after this edge and that the DJ Reader signing was, I just want an offensive lineman that can start instantly.
Yeah, it's chess, not checkers, fellas. I mean, the Eagles, they revamped their pass rush. The 49ers added talent to their defensive line, and this is kind of their chess move. And this is a tweet I want to read out before we get to this video here that Lucas put out on Crunch Time, and I want to kind of show it for the people because it kind of shows what Zeitler's about and how he's going to help the Lions. Shout out to Caleb Zarnick. He does a good job on Twitter. He's funny as hell, man. I just started following him.
Shout out, man.
And he put out something, and it was just PFF stats on the Lions offensive line. And this was last year, and it's crazy to think about. Sacks allowed, according to PFF last year. Frank Ragnow, 1 sack. Penei Sewell, 1 sack. Taylor Decker, 8 sacks. Glasgow, 2 sacks. And Kevin Zeitler, 2 sacks. So between all
fits right in.
all 5 expected starters, you're talking about a combined 14 sacks last year, 8 of them coming from Decker, which, he didn't have some greatest moments, but still, I mean, 14 sacks among 5 guys. It's an impressive stat there. Now let's play this video. This was posted, and this kind of lets you know, Lucas, feel free to break this down while I'm playing it, but this is Kevin Zeitler, man. The guy's a monster.
Yeah, I mean, look at just how many. Think about this guy is 33, 34 years old in this, and he takes out 3 guys inside the red zone. You forget about the red zone, but you look at this play and think about how much Dan Campbell goes for it on 4th and 1, 4th and 2, 4th and 3. Kevin Zeitler is a guy that you can put right next to right next to Penei Sewell, right next to Frank Ragnow, and that's almost like a gimme. Like that's a tush push on 4th and 2 with David Montgomery behind it. That's every time. You just can't stop it, because the thing that Zeitler is so good at, next to his durability, is he's so good. Look at the leverage he gets on all of these guys. He's under all of their pads. He knows how to get under linebackers and defensive tackle, defensive end, because he's been around the league for so long. So this is a guy that's going to be able to teach a Kobe Sorsdahl as well and help develop that guard that hopefully it's a Cooper Beebe. But Kevin Zeitler, he's going to do not only things for the Lions this year just with his play, but I think he's going to help develop that offensive line room as well.